Hello, thank you for clicking on the video. We're jumping back into the Family Matters universe today. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like. Also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and hit the notifications button so you know exactly when new videos is up and ready for viewing. As per usual, if you don't like spoilers and you've never seen Family Matters before, you should jump off here, go watch it, and then come back. If you don't care, then we move on. Today I want to talk a little bit about Steve's parents, and when I say a little bit, I mean it, because we don't ever get the chance to see them. We hear his mother like twice, very spaced apart, and then that's it. Like, we only ever hear about his parents through Steve when he's talking about them, and it's kind of messed up. Like, they really couldn't stand that boy. They found every reason to not be around him. They locked him out of the house multiple different times. They tried to leave him when they would go on vacation multiple different times. And they just really didn't want anything to do with him. Even at like his birth, like there's an episode where Steve is like sleepwalking and hitting Carl over the head with a newspaper, and they call a hypnotist to try and find out what's going on. And when he first hypnotizes him, he like think back and he talks about his birth, and his dad tried to push him back into his mother. This is the thing: Steve is annoying, Steve is clumsy, and it's a problem. But he just was born. There is no reason why you should have been trying to push that boy back into his mother. There's so many problems with that. One, there is no beef that you should have with him. He ain't even been out of his mama for a second, so you shouldn't have an issue with him. Two, that's not how it works. So he just didn't care about the mom's comfort at all for him to try to push the baby back into her. Ridiculous. Okay, now like I said, like, he can be quite annoying. He can speak out of turn a lot, and he be messing shit up. Okay, but he was weirder because of his parents. Like, in the early seasons, we see Steve, he was extremely weird and just like very used to being by himself, and so it made him over talk, overact, and like it annoyed people. And he didn't know what he was doing wrong because he just wants friends. He tries to make everyone else feel included because he's used to being left out when it comes to his parents, right? And they they literally locked him out. There's an episode where he goes over to the Winslows, and this is before Laura kicks him out because she gave him a few minutes of a chance, but he was doing too much. But he literally says, "Oh yeah, my parents don't want me around their friends, so they locked me out because they having bridge night." What? What are we talking about? Why are you locking your 12-year-old son outside in the middle of the night? Because you don't want him around your friends? Like, he has a room. Just let him be in his room. What is wrong with you? Then there's an episode where he has to go over and ask Carl to take him to the airport because they leave him. And he's like, oh, they mistakenly forgot me at the house. There is no mistake when his parents is involved. And they left him at the house. Again, he's like 13, 14 at this particular point. They go off to Hawaii. Now, Carl, wanting to have a break from him, takes him to the airport, and he makes the trip. And even on the trip, we see that his parents is nowhere to be found. He calls the house like twice, and he's by himself each time he calls the Winslows. So they just don't care. And I'm pretty sure they probably tried to leave him at that resort when they was going back home. And this is like what's really sad, because mind you, they had him, and apparently they conceived him during their honeymoon after they got married. So they find him to be such a mistake in their life. They don't even take vacations together for real. They go on a second honeymoon, and they choose two completely different states to go to. And Carl and Harriet is like, why are they going to two different states? He's like, oh yeah, they don't want to make the same mistake they made on their first honeymoon. Me. That is so sad. Like, that's awful. Why the heck? Why would you make this boy feel this way, right? And then they didn't like, now, don't get me wrong. Steve's experiments could go very wrong a lot of the time, but he didn't have any ill intentions when he would do his experiments. It was his outlet, it was his creative expression, and you know, he enjoyed science. That was his thing. And so, with his geniusness, he would create all of these different experiments and stuff, and they constantly had a problem with that. But one experiment that they loved, everybody loved, but one experiment that they loved was Stefan. In fact, Stefan is the one that they actually claimed as their son. They didn't mind Stefan being around. Again, we never actually see Steve's parents in this moment, but he mentions like, oh yeah, my parents love me like this. Okay. You know, now let's get to like the biggest one. They moved to Russia, and they didn't actually want Steve to go to Russia with them. In the like, Steve didn't want to go to Russia. Like, it's okay. So he asked Carl if he can stay, and Carl says yes. That was the relief that they were looking for, right? They didn't call to talk to him. They never came to visit him. They was like, oh, we are single parents. Like we are a parentless married couple or whatever. Like, they just said, fuck it. Like, they're like, and you know they don't call, because in the episode where Laura and Eddie are battling one another, they're fighting, Steve goes off on them for their actions, and he's like, you know, y'all don't know how lucky y'all are, like, to have this, that, and the other. And he's like, and parents who called. So they don't even call to check up on him, and they left like 3 seasons before that episode. So like, that was like, in the seasons back then, how television worked, it went yearly. So they left 3 years before that episode, and they never just called him, never checked up on him. He went to visit them one time, and they didn't even want him there. They were the worst parents in the world, and it's just ridiculous. Like, the only reason Steve became somewhat of a normal individual is because he was around the Winslows. Like I said, he was way weirder in those first few seasons, and being around Carl and Eddie especially, but just the Winslows in general, did help him become a little bit more of a rounded out individual. And I don't think that he would have been able to succeed in doing that without the Winslows. So even though Carl be getting on my nerves with how he be treating Harriet, you know, you kind of have to respect him for allowing his heart to be open enough to let Steve in and show him some affection, the type of fatherly and motherly from Harriet affection that he was not getting at home, because his parents just didn't want to be parents from the get-go. Because I don't understand what type of beef you can have with a freaking baby that was just born, but okay. With that being said, that's all I have to say on this subject, because again, we don't see much of his parents. Like, we only hear about them, and none of what we hear is ever good. If you made it this far in the video, I truly appreciate it. Why don't you comment your thoughts on Steve's parents? Like, what do you think the real issue was for them to have despised him from the moment he was born? What do y'all think was the issue? With that being said, until next time, bye.